So I say you need a business case to make your independent project work more real world. And I want to give you an example of exactly what that means, but let's start by how do you find a business problem to solve? This is very difficult. Case studies are an excellent source of business problems. They not only explain business problems and give you a variety of business problems that you could potentially solve. Just Google case study. There are tons of them out there. And it's completely valid to take what another company has done and say, okay, this is the business problem I'm going to solve. Why? Because this was something real world that X company did for their customers. That's a great way to start off your business case and to justify, put the why behind everything that you're going to do in your project in a way that makes a hiring manager see you as capable in a real world setting, not an academic setting. So it goes from knowledge of to capability to. Let's get into this business case right here, which is from Accenture. So this is a real thing Accenture did for one of their customers. And it starts out by explaining the problem. So when you have a customer come to you or potentially a business unit come to you, they're going to give you a problem statement. So this is where you begin your business case. What is the problem that a customer or a user might come to you with and say, hey, can you solve this? Can you solve my problem? And their problem is print readerships and revenue are contracting amid an explosion in digital sources of news and information. That's their problem statement. Now, Accenture took that problem statement and started to generate some solutions, which they have to define the problem statement just a little bit more succinctly. And typically, you're going to have to do this. You need to listen to your users, listen to your strategies, stakeholders, goals from the company. You get business problems from a number of different sources, and you have to refine it to be very specific about what it is that you're going to impact. So in this case, to sustain and grow their loyal readership. So that's a KPI. I know it sounds like there's no real number behind that, but you're going to put a number behind that. However, in your business case, explain it simply. So they wanted to explore new ways to produce cost-effective, high-quality journalism. That's going to be some core functionality. Now, the important part, the goal, this is where we actually start introducing metrics, things that we're going to move. These are the numbers that the business measures in order to see if they're doing well, doing badly, need to improve. And so in this case, the key metrics, the core numbers that they want to improve are digital traffic, reader loyalty, and company revenues. So that's the beginning of your business case. And you can see it's very simple to lay out, but it takes a lot of thought. It's one of those that's going to take you longer to think through than it is to actually write up. And again, source these from existing business cases. That's completely legitimate. Don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. But if you find something original, that's awesome too. Don't be afraid to go your own way. Now, solution. You're going to follow this approach in your business case. Number one, they're user-centric. If you have users, awesome. Some independent projects don't. So you have to kind of get into this hypothetical user. You have to get into whoever you think would be using your product's head and write some pseudo requirements. That's completely legitimate. But if you're in a university program or a boot camp and they can give you access to the actual people that might be using your project or your product, even better. Talk to them and make that part of your business case. Just write a couple of blurbs about what it is that they needed, because there aren't just functional requirements. There are user requirements. It doesn't just have to work. It has to work the way that a user would be able to adopt it. And so you're going to read through this, and I'm going to point it out as we go. So now, when a journalist starts a story, the assistant continuously checks the text for data consistency, suggested links to other sources, and spelling, as well as ensuring syntax is suitable for each story. You hear this. This is just functionality and laying it out on a list. Very simple. Don't get into the technical detail at this point. Talk core functionality and benefits. So here's a functional area. Here's what it's going to do to make the user happy. Here's a core area of functionality. Here's what it's going to. So just functionality benefits, functionality benefits. Don't fluff it up. Don't feel like you have to make it massive. And again, if you have to put yourself into a hypothetical user's shoes, that's okay. But get access to users if you can. And think about impact on the business. This is great. The result. So think about the impact on the business. After just 6 months, the entire newsroom was using the assistant to increase their productivity Boost the quality and accuracy of the journalism, make connections between stories, and create rich, consistent digital content. You see how they connected core functionality back up to the original business problem and business case. So definitely do that. You will continue to write this up and improve on it as you build out the project. You will also have other supporting, you can post or update or put it in as part of the documentation. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, but as you actually roll out core functionality, you want to do some sort of proof of concept to say, I actually made the improvements that I said I was. And that's what I mean when I say you're going to tie model metrics to business metrics. That's why this business case is so important, because it's going to focus everything that you do from a functional standpoint throughout the entire project. If I was a customer coming to Accenture's website, I would read this and say, okay, I have an understanding of the capabilities Accenture could bring to my business. And that's exactly the same thing as you want to do with a hiring manager. You want a hiring manager to come to your independent project, read your business case, and get a feeling for what capabilities you could bring to their team. That makes you much more real world. It takes you from knowledge of, that academic label, to capable of, which is more business focused and real world implementation focused. You now seem more like a credible candidate and someone who can contribute from day one, even if you don't have a ton of experience on your resume.